Temporary Australians is proudly brought to you by Harley Davidson Australia, Fraser Motorcycles, Brotherhood CMC, Victory Motorcycles, the Australian Motorcycle Expo, Austrikes and Think Right.
Hello there and welcome to Temporary Australians. I'm Jonesy.
And I'm Hirsty.
And we have an action-packed show. Greg, what do you know about adventure motorcycling?
You mean riding without brakes? Oh, I had to do it occasionally, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I was kind of talking about, getting out there amongst the wild, Ewan McGregor, Charlie Borman type of stuff.
Sounds fun. Let's look.
Well, we've got something cool coming up about that. Also, another sled for your shed on Temporary Australians.
On Temporary Australians, we ask why would anyone go adventure motorcycling? Jonesy checks out the Hard Rider and Angry Anderson. We go for a very wet ride on the Good as Gold poker run. Jonesy checks out the Suzuki GSXR. We discover what the boys are wearing. We find out why it is not the rider's fault. Jonesy discovers a classic KTM. We find out what motivates Long Hall Lyn. Jonesy catches up with 2GB presenter Chris Smith, and we find out where the hard ride ended up.
For me, adventure motorcycling is just riding the wrong bike to some terrible place, trying to find the fun.
Now, let me just get this straight. You pick a wrong bike to do this sort of stuff, do you?
Yeah, well, bikes these days, they're all so good, so it's too easy, where if you choose the wrong bike, you're guaranteed to have an adventure.
So you could even take a postie bike up mountains, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I started out riding decent bikes and eventually ended up on postie bikes just to find more adventure.
So people listening to this interview will pick up that riding a postie bike's an adventure, but how do you make it an adventure? What sort of places do you take it?
Well, as far away from tar roads as possible. I mean, and they're dangerous to ride on tar roads because they really only go 80 k's an hour. But I go out to, the first ride I did was out into the plains, western New South Wales, up past west of Narrabri, up into northwestern New South Wales. But my favourite place is the Snow Mountains. There's nothing like seeing just a hill that just goes forever in the Victorian Snow Mountains and thinking, how am I going to get up that?
Now, I understand that recently you filmed a documentary about some of your adventures. Did you use a postie bike in that, or you co-opted something else?
No, I was on a postie bike. There was three of us on a postie bike and one sensible guy on a KTM 640. And I was the one who turned that adventure into something else altogether by having an almighty crash. And it was my first crash on the road, and ended up in Adelaide in hospital for 3 weeks. The flying doctors flew me out of Western New South Wales to Broken Hill, then to Adelaide, and I had quite a few, 3 or 4 surgeries over there and got some crazy scars to prove it.
So what does his wife think of all of this one?
My wife was fine with it until she saw some of the footage that we'd taken, and then she pretty much wanted me to stop.
That's the problem with doing documentaries, isn't it?
Yeah, people realise how crazy things can get out there when you're standing on the edge, a cliff top, or whether it's just on the edge of your wits. And I think the mental side of riding is really where the adventure is.
Starting in 2009, the Hard Ride has been raising money for prostate cancer, and one of the organisers joins us right now, Angela Harrow. Good morning, Angela.
Hello, how are you?
So what made you get involved in this?
Well, Nick and I just wanted to put together something, give back to the community, and he's a mad motorbike fanatic, and I had some connections with the Prostate Cancer Foundation because I'd done catering for them. So we combined the two, and this is what we come up with.
The hard ride has been running for about 2 years now, and the people that show up to these things are quite extraordinary. People like Rose Tattoo lead singer Angry Anderson. Jonesy. What do you know about prostate cancer?
Well, I got involved with prostate. I've been involved with them for about 7 years now, because it's nearly 7 years since Pete Wells died of prostate. Pete Wells started Rose Tattoo, and I remember clearly the day that he rang up and said to me, "What do you know about prostate?" And I said, "Not much. Why? Isn't it your balls or something?" And he went, No, it's a bit sort of further west or south or whatever." And he said, "Anyway, I've got it," he said. And he said, "And it's pretty serious stuff." And, over the next three years he fought and lost the fight against it. He said, "If you want to do anything for me when I'm gone, just do this." And I said, "Swear to God, I'll do it. I'll give myself to the cause."
We've been lucky to be able to join with the wonderful Breakfast Talk, and they've just given us so much more leverage with this event. And look, it's going to get, next year it'll be even bigger. I'd actually like to see the event run in different states on the same day. So that's my ultimate goal.
Well, good luck with that. And what are you riding today?
We ride a Triumph Rocket supercharged.
Nice work. Could you get something a little bit slower, perhaps?
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
Thank you, Angela.
Queensland is famous for its surf and sunshine. But this year's Good as Gold Poker Run saw more rain in one day than some places get in a year. In fact, it was so wet, some people thought they were at the beach. Good as Gold Poker Run's been running for a long time in Queensland.
Sure has, Greg. 21 years, actually. It's the longest running poker run in Queensland.
It's certainly got a good reputation. A lot of people love to come on the ride, and generally you go to places you've never taken them before.
That's right, Greg. This is a once-a-year opportunity that we open our doors up, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club Brisbane, and we allow the public to come for a ride with us. And people really enjoy that. It's a big novelty, and we never ever go to the same place twice ever.
I noticed there was a lot of people still in the rain today, just on the side of the road, just cheering everybody on, and that was a really positive thing, I thought.
We get as many people show up to see us off at the clubhouse as we do that actually participate. And like you said, 20, 30 Ks on the road, there's people standing in the rain cheering us on. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
Now, do you find poker runs are popular in Queensland?
They are. They certainly are, yeah. It's, they've sort of taken over from bike shows and other motorcycle events. It's certainly in vogue, yeah, for sure.
For people who have not been on a poker run, can you just run us through what happens on a general run?
Basically, go from one stop to the other. At the end of the day, end up with a hand or a result of some description, and then the winners of that, obviously get prizes. On ours, of course, we've got the biggest prize pool in Australia. We give away a motorbike every year, so that's a pretty big deal. Last year we gave away a Harley Davidson for our 20th anniversary, and this year we'll be giving away a Hunter again. Greg, we got in excess of over 200 motorcycles, and there would be clubs that would be happy to have that on their best day. In 21 years, this is the worst weather we've ever had, ever. We've had weekends before where we've had a bit of rain or wet in the morning or wet in the afternoon, but this is something else. And 10 points to everyone here. There's a credit to all of them, and the commitment they've showed both to the support of our club and the lifestyle itself, and to get out and show everyone that that's what motorcycling is all about.
Now, I have to say, I was really impressed with the way the police cooperated. They were there in large numbers, but they manned the traffic lights. They even showed us where to go in a number of towns, which, seeing I'm from New South Wales, was really helpful, so I didn't get lost. But I was surprised. I actually thought they'd be a little bit more disruptive. The
police have to be seen to be doing their job, and I think they have. Look, we've liaised with them over a number of years now to try and alleviate traffic congestion and for road safety and all those sort of things. It seems to be working quite well. We're happy with their involvement at the moment. There's no problem between us and them, so that's a good thing. It's our once-a-year opportunity. It's a public event. As you can see, hundreds of people turn out for it. We've had up to 1,000 people on a good day, so it's a significant thing, and we like to think that it can go uninterrupted.
Next year, you're confident it'll be sunny?
100%, yeah, 100%.
In 1985, Suzuki were accused of basically getting a race bike, putting blinkers on it and a headlight and a number plate, and just letting it loose on the streets. They said at the time, as if we would do something like that. What, are you crazy? Then recently they said, you know what, you were right. Replacing the GS and the GSX models, the Suzuki was a real diversion, had this funky aluminium frame, but the big thing was the power to weight ratio. It only had 100 horsepower, but it only weighed 176 kilograms. Considering the average bike of 1985 weighed 220 kilos, you do the maths. The Gixxer was so controversial though when it came out. People loved them and people hated them. People weren't sure about the look of them. They had these giant slab-sided fairings, earning it the nickname the slab side. It had the flat slider carbies, which were a pain in the neck to pull out because to get to the airbox, you had to take the whole engine out, which is crazy. It's those little Japanese hands.
The Japanese, they just love their acronyms. There was EF full floater. And also, what about this one? They thought it best to spell it out. Suzuki Advanced Cooling System.
Pretty sexy. These days, a GSXR in top nick would be worth $10,000, which is about 8 times more than what you would have paid for them back in 1985. So if you've got one, hang on to it. The GSXR 750. It's a sled we'd love in our shed.
This is the Freedom jacket, and we created this especially for the 110th anniversary of Harley Davidson. And the idea was that we would take this jacket around the world, and as we showcase the jacket around the globe, it'll tell a story. And each wearing of the jacket has a story associated to it. And after that, we kind of add some memorabilia to the jacket to say, well, what does freedom mean to people? And ask them to express it with either a patch or a pin or some kind of drawing on the jacket.
Where's it been so far?
Well, it started in Tibet, and we took a ride through Tibet where this was done by a Tibetan monk up on the top of the mountain, and this is freedom. And so from there, it then travelled to Brazil, and if you can see this thing on my arm, which is pretty tight, the parade was led by the chief of the security for the president of Brazil, and when they ride their motorcycles, they have to wear an armband like this.
When do you expect it to be back in Milwaukee?
We'll be back in Milwaukee for the anniversary at the end of August for the holiday weekend there, where we have our final 110th anniversary celebration. So we're pretty excited about that.
Now, Adam, it's been pretty controversial down here in Victoria. The Transport Action Commission has introduced a motorcycle safety ad that's just outraged the motorcycle community.
That's certainly the feedback we've been getting, Greg, and I think the firm really was surprised by the level of passion and verve motorcyclists had regarding what they felt was only half the story. I think there's a prevailing opinion that while motorcycle safety is being perceived by TAC as just down to motorcyclists, we think it's up to everybody.
The feedback I've got is that the ad depicts the rider really being the one who gets blamed for the accident.
Yeah, we felt a little bit uncomfortable with that, certainly given the right-of-way violation. We looked at the stats, and in 84% of cases where a driver turns into or across the path of the motorcyclist and kills the rider, it's actually the driver who's at fault. So we felt that deserved a closer look.
So is that why you've commissioned this TV commercial?
Well, we commissioned it, but it's really owned by the riders. We actually did a fundraising activity whereby we sold Stop Smithy, Sorry Mate I Didn't See You t-shirts, and raised roughly $5,000. It really, I suppose, brought the community together, and a studio called Goza Studios, run by 2 riders, actually helped us put together this piece of creative, and it's been a real success so far.
Yeah, I've also heard how much people appreciate the fact that you've done this, because it does get the motorcyclist's point of view across.
We feel there's a space for that. I think we've been really surprised by how engaged riders feel with this video. I think there's a sense of ownership about it. It features Bronwyn Sorensen from Motorcycling Australia, who's an ambassador for the Stop Smithy project, and Rob Smith as well does the voiceover. So I think together they've really pulled off, and I hope that we've made some contribution to better rider safety in Australia's roads.
Has there been any response from the government about it?
I think it's definitely on their radar. Look, we want to try and keep on good terms with people who are stakeholders in this sphere. Rider safety is such an important issue. They have made an offer, I believe, to post this video on their website, on the Transport Accident Commission, but I've heard nothing in person.
Well, that'd be a good development if they do take it on board, even at that level.
It would be an excellent development. My understanding is they have no plans to make a motorcycle awareness advert. Well, some riders have even said this is the advert the TAC should have made.
Well, all the bikes can't be professionally maintained like mine. Like, look at this thing here. Obviously, someone spent a bit of time and work on it. Let's meet Adrian. G'day, Adrian. How are you, mate?
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. We've got a KTM. What?
1981 250 MC. Pretty much bought it as a $500 bunch of bolts, and pretty much built it up from the ground up.
So how long did it take you?
Had it in a box in a garage for a couple of years, and then took about 6 months to put it together.
What did it cost you?
I shouldn't disclose that.
In case someone wants to buy it.
The wife might find out.
All right, yeah, keep that.
Yeah.
So it only cost you $560.
$500, that was it, yeah.
That's all right. and so you any good when you're riding this around the track, or do you just stand around and sort of like pose off a bit?
No, just take me time, mate, that's about it.
Well, mate, it's a classic bike, and if you were to sell it, you'd never sell it.
Probably not. Got a bit of a passion for KTMs, as you're saying. Got a few of them here.
How many KTMs do you have?
I shouldn't disclose that either.
Right.
A few.
So it's above 2?
Probably about 8 or 9.
That's 8 or 9. You can never ride them all at once, can you?
No.
Unless you hook them up in some sort of chariot form, but it's never really quite worked. Adrian, thank you. You better get out on the track, mate.
No worries.
Now then, you've ridden quite a distance to come down to Strathalbyn to meet up with the CMA guys and go help set up for the toy run.
Yes, I have. I've come from Nil this morning. It's about just under 350 kilometres away.
What sort of roads have you had to travel to get here?
Oh, pretty good roads, all highway. I think it's about Keith, there's a bit of roadworks, but the road is actually nice highway riding.
Are there a lot of girls who are riding these days in South Australia?
I'm not sure. I know a few women who do ride, but they're not just South Australia or Victoria. It's New South Wales. I know quite a few people through the CMA organisation, but I've only been riding for 4 years, so I'm new to it.
So how did you get into riding?
My late husband encouraged me to get a motorcycle licence in 2008, and he unfortunately passed away in 2009, but at least we had 12 months of riding together before he passed away.
Tell us about your bike.
I affectionately call him Casper because he's white. It's a Yamaha V-Star 650 Classic, and I bought it new because when I got my licence, the learner approved motorcycle scheme had just come into Victoria, and I could learn to ride on a 650 instead of a 250, so I did.
And you love it by the look of it.
Absolutely. I've done 31,000 Ks on it. For about a 12-month period, I was riding my late husband's bike, but apart from that, this is the only other bike I've ridden. And I love it, yes. I love riding.
2GB radio afternoon host, Chris Smith.
Jonesy, g'day. How you doing?
Mate, I'm not going to ask you about boat people or single mothers or the carbon tax. Let's just talk about bikes.
Okay, I love riding. I started on a scooter, a little Taiwanese number. I loved the fact that I could get on a bus lane and get to work in 5 minutes instead of 35 minutes. And then I went on to a Triumph. I got a Bonneville. I love the whole history of the Bonneville, you know, the connection with McQueen and all of that. So I went out and...
Hey, and what was the connection with the Queen?
No, McQueen, Steve McQueen.
I thought it was like a connection with Elton John or something. And this is the Chris Smith Steed that we're looking at today.
Yeah, I look at the Trumpy is just, it's as retro, I reckon, as you can get in the Triumph range. I like the racing green, although they call it forest green, but racing green sounds much more sexy. And I've got the carbon fibre helmet to match, and I even put my 8 and 9. I think you can do that legally, can't you?
Not altogether.
No, we're
not in Thailand.
No, not in Bali. They both go for a ride. I put my kids on the back and they love it. They've got their own little helmet and their own safety gear, and they have a terrific time when we go a little bit around our suburb. Fantastic.
Well, let's not try and jump out of any World War II prison camps in Germany. Okay, Chris, thank you. Shiny side up.
Good on you, mate. Love it. Hard ride. Ride hard.
The hard ride is a bit unusual, with no front runner or tail end Charlie. But no one cared. The ride through the Royal National Park is just too much fun. Past the Audley, we hit a winding hill climb towards the flat and then onto Bald Hill Lookout. When you get to the other end, the panoramic view is breathtaking.
Everyone stayed together well, everyone rode quite safely, and I think everyone quite enjoyed themselves going along there at a nice, safe pace.
Now tell us what you think of the National Park Road.
I love it. I do it probably 2 or 3 times a month. I just live quite local, and I'll come through here and head down towards Macquarie Pass and then come back through in the afternoon.
It's sort of been wrecked by the speed Nazis these days, but it is a great ride, really is. And even if you're going at the posted 23 kilometres per hour that you now have to go, it's certainly worthy of a ride through there.
It's been great fun. Actually, it's my first ride I've ever done. So I'm just back to riding, 20 years away, so I've just got the bike, and yeah, it's been great fun. I loved it. Just sitting back behind other people, just watching them, let people go past me, just still on my L's. So a lot of people went past me still.
Well, that'll change later on, mate.
You'd think those postie bike guys would at least deliver some mail on the way.
Mate, I'm just so impressed with their riding skills. I'll look at them in a different way from now on.
Greg Hirst, while you're looking at postie bike guys, I'm going to take this bad boy for a bit of a spin. We'll catch you next week on Temporary Australians Shiny Side Up.
See ya.